Hey there, people of the interwebs. My name is Brandon Noel. I'm a cartoonist, self-publisher, and just all-around nerd. And basically, I've been doing these videos for a while now, and I was at a point to where I was laying out my schedule for what I was going to draw months in advance, and I was timing things around, okay, Jessica Jones comes out this month, okay, Star Wars comes out this month, and that's still fun, and I'm still going to do that kind of stuff, but I'm just going to draw some stuff that I kind of like to do, and I'm here's the thing, I may look like I'm 30, but I'm really like 85. I'm grumpy, I'm old, get off my lawn. The only thing I really want to watch is Gilligan's Island and old TV. Shout out to MeTV and Sven Gulli. Best frickin' network on television. Okay, so I've decided to do a sketch of Gilligan from Gilligan's Island. I'm basically gonna take a head from one shot and a body from another, and when I was a kid, I would rush home not to see, Batman, which I did get to see. I got to see some Batman, but I rush home for, if I got home early enough, I got to see Gilligan's Island, I Love Lucy, and like a few other old shows that were just, that would play just before before cartoon afternoon block would start. And so Gilligan's Island was a big deal for me as a kid. I'm not exaggerating. Bob Denver, who played Gilligan, he taught me the importance of comedical timing. Now, a lot of people underestimated how good he really was at physical comedy. Alright, the gags were kind of simplistic, but he was just so good with what he would do with, tripping over himself, frickin' the coconuts gags, they're classic. They're all classic kind of stuff. And I don't know what it is about 60s television, because every good show, like truly great show that we would consider like, oh, that is, the epitome of television, only lasted 3 years. Batman 66, 3 years. Addams Family, 3 years. The Munsters, 3 years. Gilligan's Island, 3 years. I don't know what was going on that after 3 years, well, actually I do know what was going on with Gilligan. Gilligan's cancellation is a heartbreak of a story if you've never heard it. It wasn't actually supposed to be canceled. As the legend goes, because it was supposed to be canceled its first year, and an executive said, yeah, let's give it a shot. Like, there's something here. We spent some money. Let's see if this thing can go. And it did. And its first season is I like it. But what happened was it grew, it found its legs, it became ultimately Gilligan's Island. I think it's a show that really benefited from color. It pops in a way that the black and white first season doesn't. Yeah, the first season was black and white. And so what happened was Gilligan's Island had grown, found its place, and by its third season had risen in the ratings. It still wasn't the #1 show, but it was solid. And Gunsmoke had basically fallen. The ratings had dropped on Gunsmoke, and there was this executive at, I think it was ABC. It was either NBC or ABC. I don't remember which. But he's like, well, we got to cancel Gunsmoke. It's had its run. And he was talking at home about this, and he mentioned it to his wife. And his wife lost her shit. Gunsmoke apparently was her favorite show, and she said, if you cancel Gunsmoke, I will divorce you. She threatened this guy with divorce, and he gave in, and this is a very blurred, can't find his hand, but he decided that divorce was not something he wanted to do. So instead of canceling Gunsmoke, a show had to get canceled. Unfortunately, that show then became Gilligan's Island, a show that was canceled before its time. I don't like those legs. Let's see if I can't find. There we go. Something a little bit better. Now I'm doing composites. I'm literally looking at multiple images at this point. But yeah, Gilligan was literally canceled before its time because of Gunsmoke. A show I do not like. I don't care who you think you... Gunsmoke is a horrible show. I don't care if Little John's... Just shut up. Gunsmoke sucks. So, anyway... They canceled poor Gilligan's Island instead of Gunsmoke, and Gunsmoke would go on to be like the second longest running television show in history. Literally, I think it was 20 some odd years. 28, I think it was. The Simpsons is about to beat it as the longest running television show. That's how long Gunsmoke was on the air for. Again, a show that would have been respectable if it had been canceled when it was due to be canceled, but because of the right fan being married to the right executive, that's the reason why Gilligan's Island only lasted 3 years. And when you think about it, because that show was in reruns forever, you don't think about Gilligan's Island only being 3 years. You know, you think about Gilligan's Island lasting a lot longer than 3 years. Or at least in your head, you'd think, it had to have lasted longer than 3 years. And of course, Gilligan's Island is of that generation where all the actors got screwed out of the back end, right? All the repeats and replays, and that's one of the reasons why Gilligan's Island was put in syndication, even only having 3 seasons, is they didn't have to pay these actors royalties. A lot of old school TV shows had that kind of situation where they literally just didn't have to pay. Like, they didn't have to pay Adam West for they didn't have to pay him royalties or whatever. A lot of those actors didn't get paid for second and third runs. That was just TV of the time. You got paid for the first run, and there you go. You were good to go. Only a few actors ever thought to fight for those rights, and got paid on the back end. The creator of Gilligan's Island, I forget his name, but he made a fortune on the rights to the theme song, because he created the theme song, and it aired in every single episode, so he got paid for the music. He got paid for, he was the executive producer and creator of Gilligan's Island. Alright, the age-old debate. Marianne or Ginger? When I was a young lad, I would have preferred Ginger, but as a older, wiser man, I have to go with Marianne. Marianne cooks, she cleans, she is gorgeous, and is a loving person, whereas I don't know if Ginger is all that necessarily thinks about anyone other than herself. So, if you were a Ginger apologist, message me in the bottom. Fight me on this one. That is not a good red. Let's see how that's looks like the same freaking red. I mentioned in an earlier video, I've not found a good crimson red watercolor paint that I like. Even, you know, of course if you dilute any red paint it becomes pink, but I'm not, this is not diluted, this is right out of the jar, and yeah, just, I don't think Bob Denver gets the credit that he deserves for the physical comedy that he did, the tumbles, the you know, and not to mention he was a really good actor. He was a really solid actor. Just gonna. You know, like at the end of the day, you care about Gilligan. You do. You know? When he eats the radioactive carrots, you care about, you know, him potentially getting radiation poisoning and going blind and you know, like Gilligan is a character whom you care about. He's your little buddy. Is he the smartest? Nah. But he's the best guy you could ever hope for as a friend. So now here's a good question. I get that they built their huts out of you know, structure on the island and grass huts and all that kind of stuff. Where'd they get the drapes for the window? I'm just looking at this photo going, I don't know if I necessarily, you know, I don't know if I necessarily see that kind of. Oh, you know, it looks like it was a Hawaiian shirt that he cut up. I'll give him a credit on this one. Okay. I can't remember his name. The guy who played Thurston Howell III, the millionaire. He was a true professional. There's a heart-wrenching story when he was in a wheelchair near the end of his life, and they filmed the last Gilligan's Island movie that was made for TV. It's so stupid. It's like Gilligan Island and the Harlem Globetrotters. God, words and things. Anyway, Thurston Howell III, after being rescued, buys the island and turns it into a hotel resort. And the Harlem Globetrotters come out, and there's a basketball game, and it's not good. But what happens is there's the story, as the story goes, he was reading his lines off of cue cards because he was he was ill and old and near the end of his life. And man, I should look up that actor's name, but I don't have internet right now. He was also Mr. Magoo. And what happened was he, after they called take or cut, he asked Marianne if he was funny. He couldn't tell if he was hitting the line right because it was a joke, and he wanted confirmation. Even at that age, in that condition, he wanted to know that he was at least, you know, adding something to the soup, that he was you know, he was there to work. And I think that's very commendable. And you know, all those actors were great. I can't remember I think it was the man who shot Liberty Valance. The actor who played the skipper. The skipper is in a Western where he has a scene with John Wayne. Like, all these actors before Gilligan's Island were veteran character actors. The professor pops up in a couple of different things, and you know, and it's just it's incredible how long something like Gilligan's Island lasts, and the impact that it had. I know, as me as a little kid, I would study Bob Denver's comedical timing. Like, I'd just look at him, and you know, you look at him and go, wow, he's doing something. And he was the first comedian performer who I looked at going, oh, like, he's not just up there cracking jokes, he's cracking jokes with his body and the timing. He was the first actor who made me aware of timing. And you know, he was so good. Speaking of timing, I'm almost out of it. So, there you have it. Gilligan from Gilligan's Island. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe. Patreon.com/DestinyComics. Please help support this poor, starving artist who has taxes he has to pay. Oh boy, do I got taxes. So thank you. Like, subscribe, Did I mention I got taxes to pay? Let's go. DestinyComics.com. Click on the store app. Buy something. I got taxes I gotta pay. All right. Thank you.